So real quick, I want to talk about the May changes and what the May changes are going to do. Because essentially, we talked about it a little bit, and we've been talking about it for the weeks as they've been hinting at it. But these May changes in particular are going to affect how she's played. Again, I'm going to be doing an unranked GM tomorrow, starting tomorrow with the new May, which is going to kind of play like Overwatch 1 a little bit. So we'll do our unranked GM, we'll get her to GM, and then I'm going to come out with a May guide on how to play the new May. So if you guys are watching right now or not following me on Twitch or subscribed on YouTube and you want to get that information, make sure you do both of those right now so you don't miss that. It's going to be a huge resource for you guys if you're playing May on how to play her in the season. It's going to be like the first impressions of it. You guys are going to get like early access to it while people are shaking up the meta. I'm telling you, dude, May's going to be super good this season if this stays this way. So make sure you guys follow, subscribe on YouTube so you can get that information. So going over this again, her endothermic blaster damage per second is reduced from 100 to 55. This is a massive reduction on her primary fire, which basically means you're not going to be doing nearly as much damage output with your primary. Now, with that being said, the primary still does pierce. So if you're looking at a group of enemies, I still am going to recommend to use your primary on it because you get the added slow effect and you get damage piercing through everybody. So it's still going to be really good. If you're playing against big groups of people where they're stacked on top of each other, lay on that primary fire. And the primary fire no longer always slows at 40%. So it's not an instant slowdown at 40% as long as you're holding it to him. It now scales from 30 to 50%. So when you first start primary firing with your endothermic blaster, they're going to be slowed at 30%, built up all the way to 50%. Now, they haven't told us how long this takes to get there. I'm going to be taking a look at that in the training grounds tomorrow. They did not say anything about how long it takes to get to that 50%. But when you do get to that 50%, there's a slowing effect that sticks to the enemy for 1.5 seconds and slows them for 75%. This gives you a 1.5 seconds to line up a headshot on the target, which is going to be pretty large. All right, 75% is a very massive slowdown effect on enemies. Now, when on top of that, when you line up your secondary fire, this is regardless of it being a headshot or a body shot. It deals an additional 40 damage. Okay. So if you headshot while they're in this 75% slowed state, it's going to do an extra 40 damage of what we call like explosive damage, like breaking the freeze. And that's going to do 190 damage. That is if the 40 damage does not get the headshot multiplier, which in that case, it would be 230 damage on that shot. But we're going to assume it's 190 because it's less than 200 and you don't want to be able to one-shot 200 HP heroes if they're getting continuously healed. But with that being said, if you are slowing down a target, you're going to be doing damage with that left click as they do it. So you're still going to be able to hit, probably be able to kill solo 250 HP targets with your left click and your right click combined if you get them to that 75% slowdown state. So primary fire is still going to be super useful. But outside of that, if you're just looking to do like consistent damage, especially if you're at a distance or you're doing a 1v1 against a target, make sure you're hitting those right clicks if you're not trying to go for the slowdown effect. With that being said, it's looking like you're probably still going to want to default to that if you're getting into a scrap, because that slowdown effect is going to help you land your shots when you get them there, as well as it helps your team as well focus the target. So 75% slowdown is massive. So I'm still saying the primary is going to be a huge part of your kit. It's going to be massive for you to play around that, and it's going to be much more like Overwatch 1 where you're playing for that freeze and then the headshot on the target that you're going for. Now, again, this still pierces multiple targets, and they have not said that you can't freeze multiple targets. So as far as I know so far, if you're playing against 3 people and they're all stacked together and you're laying on that primary and you get them all, like you'll be able to get them all to that 75% slowdown state and then break the freeze on all 4 or all 3 of them, or how many people you got in it, for an extra 40 damage. This is a massive output of damage if you can pull this off. So if it's stacked and if we're looking at a brawl meta, you definitely want to be using that primary a lot more. In addition to that, for my May players out there, we got some huge changes to snipers. One is the Widowmaker. Hold on, we're going down here. Widowmaker, she's gonna have to play much closer. So this is great for May players because Widow is a great counter to May at long distances. This is gonna make it much easier. You're not gonna be getting a headshot by Widow at crazy distances anymore. Yada yada, whatever. Now, what I care about is the Hanzo change that we saw. Let's go up to that real quick. Hanzo can now, he only does 120 damage, which means if he headshots, he only does 240. which means you will no longer be getting one shot by Hanzo players. This is fantastic because Hanzo's shots are super big. His hitbox is massive. And if you play Mei a lot, you know that it's really easy to get one-shotted by Hanzo. This means you're not going to have to waste Ice Block as much. You're not going to be out of the fight as much for these Hanzos. He's just not going to be as much of a counter to Mei, which is great for Mei players. And this is why I'm leaning into, this is probably going to be the hardest Mei meta we've seen in Overwatch 2 coming up this season. So again, if you guys are wanting to get prepared for that, I'm starting my unranked GM tomorrow. If you guys are watching this is past the fact, you guys can always watch the playback on my YouTube of the unranked to GM if you guys want to learn how I take an unranked account all the way to GM with the new Mei. And then keep an eye out for my guide, which I'll be posting on YouTube as well. So make sure you subscribe on YouTube to get that stuff. Link is below the video for you guys to check it out. Anyways, that's the changes for Mei. Those are the big ones that I wanted to go over for you guys. So good luck out there. If you're playing Mei in the new season, we're going to be seeing a lot of them. So make sure you guys keep up to date with all the new changes here on the Spooky channel. And yeah, let's have some fun. It's going to be huge.